Mike's Daily Podcast.
Let's see if I get kicked out of the studio today. Because people don't know
Mike's Daily Podcast.
how to use other studios. Hey, welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast. It's episode 1983. What a year that was, you see. That was the year that, oh my gosh, all this stuff. It was a watershed year. Was that Africa, Toto? Did that come out that year or was that 82? 83. That was Eurythmics, I think.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
That was Culture Club. That was, yes, Odor of a Lonely Heart, I think.
Mike's
No, maybe that was 82.
Daily
But we're in a watershed moment.
Podcast.
83 was such the year.
Yeah!
Oh, such great music. So many great songs. I think Go-Go's. I mentioned that last show, didn't I? Go-Go's. And the Went-Wents. And the, You know, I guess I should know more about 1983. I think I really liked that year. Why can't I remember 83? That was that Jesse's Girl? Rick Springfield? That was 82, I think. 83 was also do I have to go on the internet? I can't just use my brain? That drives me nuts. Okay. 1983 in music, though, was definitely a year for MTV. Let's see, we had this thing called Friday Night Videos. Oh gosh, Friday Night Videos started in 1983. Duran Duran. Oh my gosh, Duran Duran. The Clash broke up in 83. Bonnie Tyler. Was that Total Eclipse of the Heart in 83 or was that 82? There was the Michael Jackson Thriller. Was that year? Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. So.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I, in fact, spent a good hour, maybe 2 hours, discussing the music from the 80s that chopped up the music that was the biggest on the urban charts in those years, the dance charts. Meeting in the ladies' room. Party. My Girl Likes to Party All the Time. Eddie Murphy. Pointer Sisters from Oakland, California. En Vogue. En Vogue was actually 90s. A little bit of the late 80s. And Basil, loved all of it. Shaka Khan. Oh, yes, Shaka Khan. Basil sang Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan. What else? I'm looking at a huge full moon, by the way. I might turn into Basil. I might turn into a wereboxer. Because it is a bright, big, yellow moon tonight, folks. But yeah, we discussed Philip Bailey. I forgot that Philip Bailey, it was off of his solo album that Easy Lover came off of with Phil Collins. It always seemed to me like it was off of a Phil Collins album, which later was on his greatest hits. But still, the one, She's an Easy Lover, Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind and Fire. It was a solo album that featured that song on it. We were discussing the SOS band, the Gap band. Gotta get up early in the morning, find me enough love. And in fact, my friend was telling me he actually knows the keyboardist from the Gap band. Then, Shalimar, Dancing in the Sheets, Howard Hewitt, what a voice that guy has. And then I heard about, what's his name? Oh, dang it, he just showed Gregory something. Sang the, I hate to say it, it's probably me. That song was covered by, let's see, maybe Gregory Porter. There we go, Gregory Porter. Wow, what a voice. I would like to play you a little bit, but it's not going to let me, and they'll ding me. But it is probably one of the most amazing versions of that song. Sting, in fact, watches it and is like watching him in concert performing it. And he's just Oh, this is amazing. So the podcast picture today is of the lovely area in Hayward known as the, I took Basil the Boxer there 2 years ago today. Robert's Landing is the name of it. But it is where Llewellyn Boulevard basically ends. They call it also Heron Bay, I believe. And you can see that picture now at Mike's Daily Podcast. San Lorenzo Creek runs through it. And let's see, we got the Hayward Regional Shoreline as part of where we were. And we have not walked there for a long time, as you know. It's also part of the Bay Trail. Basil and I have not walked together for a while because he's just, he can't walk, basically. So we have to do short little walks. And this would be too far of a walk for us. The San Lorenzo Trail, part of San Lorenzo, San Leandro, Hayward Regional Shoreline. Not sure exactly what exactly it is, but it's a wonderful walk if you can ever make it to the East Bay and do that. And we had such a beautiful sunset, and I got that picture 2 years ago. And you can see it now at mikesdailypodcast.com. I will try at some point to get you the other pictures I was talking about on the last show, but just not have the, I got preempted by that fantastic picture from 7 years ago at Jack London Square that I took of a beautiful sunset. I love sunset pictures. You probably know I should call this podcast Sunset Podcast. But I would really like to mention the fact that in a week from now, I will be up at the wonderful area known as Mount Shasta. We're going to go up there and enjoy the beautiful scenery, perhaps see the lead singer of the band Cure for Gravity. You can hear interviews with that wonderful band in the interview section at mikesdailypodcast.com. You just go to home, if you put your cursor on it, you'll see interviews. You want to go to interviews A through F and listen. Last night, we went to this beautiful thing it's beautiful if you love beer anyway. The dealership, the Drake's dealership. Packed. Almost as crowded as Cafe Anyway right now. But it was wonderful. I had some poutine there. It is a Canadian dish with fries, duck gravy, and cheese curds. All together, horrible for you. If this is a podcast about self-help, I'm telling you, don't ever eat this. It'll make you feel bad. I actually kind of feel sick today because I have had really no nutritious stuff in my system as we go outside a Cafe Anyway. We're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. But I've had some Podcastro Valley 10 today. But I have had some delicious food in the past 24 hours. And I had some wonderful beer there. But today, it was pancakes with chocolate chips and banana. Oh, amazing. And eggs with a little bit of the leftover fries from the poutine. And some delicious, there was rosemary, dill, salt, pepper, a little bit of like a cheese, like kind of what my lovely lady friend got it. It's not Parmesan cheese, but it kind of looks like it. And it's all, powdery, and you put it in there and mix it up. So good. Rosemary from the backyard, it's blooming now. Put that in there. Not exactly the healthiest food, but we used, instead of butter, we used olive oil to cook it in. So that was something. If I had spinach, I would have thrown that in there. But we didn't. So, what a day. Talked to my mom. She says it's cold in Florida. And it's been windy as all get out here in the Bay Area. And this morning, tried to sleep in, but the wind was so loud and knocking stuff over and the trees moving and it's causing a ruckus. Xfinity Comcast is out in most of Castro Valley. So thankfully I'm here in Podcastro Valley 10 able to upload this podcast for you. And going on right now, the Oscars, where Brad Pitt swore that he has written all of his award speeches himself. And he has won a Best Supporting Actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There you go. There was Tom Hanks and Janelle Monáe shared a surprisingly wholesome moment. I don't know what that is. Taika Waititi won Best Adapted Screenplay, I think it was. So, I don't know if you're up on your Oscars today. I do not know any of these movies. But Best Supporting Actress went to Laura Dern. Best Adapted Screenplay, Jojo Rabbit. Best Original Screenplay, Parasite. My mom saw that, said it was very hard to watch. Best Animated Feature, Toy Story 4. Best Documentary, American Factory. Best Costume Design went to Little Women. Best Production Design, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That makes sense because they really made it look like it was Hollywood in the 1960s and 70s. All right, well, what were we going to talk about today? Oh, and then I got sucked into this world of Laura Branigan. I watched a lot of her later videos. She did a lot of ballads. You know, the huge Celine Dion song called The Power of Love. Sometimes I am frightened, but I'm willing to learn about the power of love. Well, Laura Branigan did that. It was actually written by someone named Jennifer Rush. And she was this gal from Queens. And she did a duet with Elton John. I want you back in my arms, in the flames of paradise. Flames of paradise. And there's a fun video where it's filmed in England and everyone's dancing in the street. It's kind of cute. I watched that today. And I didn't realize not Patricia Russian, not Sending You Forget-Me-Nots. Jennifer Rush. I don't know who I was talking. Back up and you'll hear who I was talking about because it's a podcast. You can back up. So she wrote The Power of Love that later Celine Dion would have a hit and later would give her a nice big check, I'm sure. But she's gotten a lot of plastic surgery done over the years and she does not look so good these days, sadly. So, to sum up, I watched a lot of videos today on YouTube. Thank you, videos. And I learned a lot about music. I was in a music mood today. Music mood. And you need music. Don't try and get through life without music. And when you get a song stuck in your head, an earworm, that means your brain needs to listen to something else. It's telling you, I have dissected this song, I've played it over and over again, it's time to move on. Today, I was not able to sleep very well, partly because of the wind, but also I had thoughts about a friend of mine who I have lost. He passed away years ago, but such a nice guy. And I thought about how when I first met him, I thought, what an angry guy. He's so angry. And he was in radio. But because we had this common bond of loving radio and loving music, and though he looked like Chris Cornell and really liked a lot of grunge, he was into all kinds of music, as I. And we discussed music. He just hated country, could not stand country. And I was working for the country station at the time. We got to be such good friends. I went to his wedding, and it was interesting because we would often discuss, I had made the horrible, horrible mistake, and this is my tip for you today. I always try and give you a little bit of advice as we dig into the underbelly of what life is all about. The underbelly? Is that a thing? The underground. What is life all about? Looking up, pulling up the dirt, digging in the dirt, as Peter Gabriel said, to find the places we got hurt. But I got hurt because I did the stupid mistake of dating someone that I worked with. Don't ever do that. Not good. Don't date someone you work with. That's my advice to you, because it turned out pretty bad for me. And she dumped me, and, I tried to move on, and I would run into this guy every day who would tell me the latest update on this gal who dumped me, and tell me about the newest guy she was dating. The newest guy my ex was dating. And so that was always wonderful to hear. And we would commiserate and discuss how horrible she was. And he would, what was interesting was I got a bit of closure. I was just watching a Northern Exposure about closure, because Joel, the doctor on Northern Exposure, Rob Morrow from the early 90s, that wonderful TV show. He's a Jewish doctor who moves to Alaska, and he feels so alone because he can't find any other Jewish doctors to talk to, and he's a man from the city of New York, and he's trying to adapt to the wilderness of Alaska. And he meets all kinds of interesting characters in the interesting little town of Sicily, Alaska, which was actually filmed in Roslyn, Washington State. But he was trying to get closure because the woman he was, his fiancée, he was going to get married to, Elaine, dumps him for an much older man. So he's trying to get closure, and Ed Chigliak, the young Native American from the area who is studying to become a shaman, says, you know what, I think what would help Joel, Dr. Joel Fleischman, is if we try and give him some closure. So Maggie, the young love interest who would later become a love interest for Joel, she stands in for Elaine. At this point, though, they hate each other. They got kind of a, what was that show, Moonlighting? That kind of Sybil Shepherd, Bruce Willis kind of, you remember how they antagonized each other? They had that kind of relationship. I think both shows were on simultaneously, so they may have stole from each other at this time. And people were so much wanting them to be ship, to get a relationship going. The shippers wanted them to have a relationship. Don't you hate people that repeat themselves, People that think they're funny, so they repeat the joke. Oh, stop. So, what ends up happening is Maggie stands in for Elaine. Joel says a couple things to her, gets it off his chest, and he gets some kind of closure. So, what gave me closure after this relationship with the woman at work that I shouldn't have done, and she dumps me, and she's dating a new guy right away, and all that, was I see her at the wedding of this guy that I would befriend and that I was discussing, who has passed away a few years ago, and I'm at the wedding, and after the wedding, she's there, and she comes up to me, and we're talking, and she goes, well, that guy that I was dating dumped me. And I go, oh, okay. Closure. No, we talked a little bit, and I remember just talking to her brought me closure, and it was funny because it was at this guy's wedding. So the guy who I talked to all the time about her, ended up bringing me closure with her at his wedding, which unfortunately ended up divorcing the woman he married, but found someone else later in his life. And I think they got married before he passed away. The widow, I think, still keeps his legacy Facebook page up and updates people, especially when the time of his passing comes around, which I think we're getting close to, which is probably why I was thinking about him. But in fact, the last time I communicated with him was on Facebook. He messaged me. I messaged him back. He said, hey, I was in the Podcastro Valley area, and he was a big podcaster. I don't know if his podcast Pod Zeppelin is still up. But yeah, we would discuss podcasting a lot, and I learned a lot from him. We learn a lot from people, and we need closure, and we need good friends, and we need to realize that it's funny. You probably have this in your life, that the first impressions you get of certain people, like I thought this guy was an angry man. Well, he had good reason to be angry, because he had prostate cancer early in his life, and it had caused him all kinds of physical harm, which he had to still deal with later in his life. And I think it eventually took his life, but he was angry about that, but he was still positive in many ways. And I would go to his house. I went to his wedding, we did a couple things together, went out to dinner. So great guy. Anyway, cafe anyway. All that to say, you never know, do you? First impressions. And we get so much from people. We get so much, we learn so much, they help us so much. And closure is a great thing. And so is eating right, which I have not been doing lately. But I do know, and I hate the wind, and I hope the wind frickin' stops. What purpose is the wind? It blows all, it's nature's leaf blower. Blew all the leaves off my lawn, thank you. Oh, did all the leaves get blown onto your lawn? Sorry. Hey, look who's out here. Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley 10 today, the last place on earth. Who is here now? I can't see because here, now I can see you in the moonlight. Hello, Michael Matthew, it's me, Madame Rootabega. And yes, the moon is so bright. Oh. Do you like the Academy Awards? Yes. Do you like having closure? Yes. Do you sometimes write love letters to Brad Pitt? No. Okay. That's odd. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, did you take our advice and get the pillow for your loved one? Your lovely lady friend for Valentine's Day?
Yeah, Valentine's Day. Do you know that? No, I did not get her a pillow yet.
Okay. Well, that's my Valentine's Day suggestion day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day suggestion. Do you know that? Wonderful. Well, thank you for the suggestion. I don't know. It seems like a good idea. Maybe I'll look into it. Okay, what's your ideas about all of that? You can call me 336MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast has been now. Since practically, did we do one Friday? I forget now. I don't think we did we? Ooh. Okay, well, for the past 2 days anyway. Yes, we did do one Friday morning, and we did one Thursday. Oh my gosh, we've been daily since Thursday? Look at this. Okay, I gotta run because there's so much I gotta do, folks. So many places I've got to see. But I must be traveling on now. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. Thanks for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Run away, I'm waiting on you. Yeah, Post Malone. That's great. Could you just stop with the vibrato, Post? You don't need to sound like Stevie Nicks.